The second thing I want to say before we begin is that Ajay's sister Shushmita and his fiance Satoko has also joined us, I believe. Thank you very much for coming in. And my understanding is that you have decided just to listen and you don't want to speak. But if at any point you change your mind and do decide that you would like to say something, please just send me a text and I'll make sure that you can say whatever it is you want to say at any point over the next hour. And thank you very much again for joining us in this moment of grief. I have a list of people with me who have already expressed a desire to say something. I will go through that list first and I'll call upon people. And after that, I'll just open it for anybody else. So I'll keep the queue. If you want to speak, just send me a private message through chat and I'll keep adding you to the list. Obviously, say whatever you want to say about Ajay, or if you want to say a prayer, whatever it might be. And please don't feel obliged to say something. I know that this is a hard time and we all have our different ways of grieving. I know that our loss is irreparable, but hopefully in reliving his memory and by communally sharing our grief and our love and our loss, we might find some solace and do a measure of justice to the gentlest and kindest and most optimistic person we knew. So I'll call upon Shaumitra first to, and Satoko, thank you for your message. It is the least we could do to rejoice in, as you will shortly hear, just what a wonderful, this is a wonderful man, and we know that too. So Shaumitra, do you want to begin, please?
Thanks, Tarnab, and thanks to everyone for joining. As Tarnab says, this is it's obviously very nice to see you all, although all of us wish the circumstances could have been different. To Ajoy, his family, his friends, his colleagues, and everyone else who have been lucky enough to know him during his lifetime. We are here today to remember and to celebrate the life of a wonderful and very, very dear friend of ours, Ajoy, or Holy, as some of us like to call him. Like many of you, I met Holy at NLS during our first year of college. I have to confess, I didn't have the greatest first impression. He used to have a dubious pencil mustache, and he used to run around wearing a banyan with 3 holes in it. So that was a bad start, but as I have come to learn, some of the best things in life just take a little bit of time to get to know. And I do consider it a real privilege to have gotten to know Halder through our years in law school and also during his professional career and mine. Some of you may know we had a weekend routine where at 7:30 in the morning, I would go to his room and, much against his wishes, wake him up by either slowly pulling the blanket he had on, or sometimes more unkindly throw cold water on him. I think he secretly liked it, but I was always greeted with a flurry of abuses and his classic line, "Shaumitra, there is a limit to everything." All through college, he was, as you all well know, one of the most well-liked members of our class, with an uncanny and unique ability to be fun-loving when he was with his boisterous bunch of friends like ourselves. He would be supportive when he was with those who were vulnerable, and he had the ability to be immensely magnanimous to those who called upon his help. To me, he embodied the idea that if you want to help others, you don't need vastness of resources, but what you need is a generosity of spirit and a big heart. And it's that generosity of spirit and big-heartedness that drew all of us to him. And that's what we will cherish about him forever. Whether he was advocating for social justice at the Asian Social Forum, whether he was fighting for his clients in the corporate boardroom, whether he was going against against all odds and setting up his own law firm, whether he was criticizing my ignorance of fine Scotch whiskey, he always did it with passion and a zest for life. There are a lot of lawyers on this session today. We as lawyers often can be quick to assess risk, see downsides, see the negatives in things, and become very cynical. I always admired how Holdy could see the positive side to things, to be optimistic, to befriend people who had different political beliefs from him, who were coming from a different financial strata compared to him, who had different cultural background to him. He had the ability to see inherent human goodness in a huge variety of people, far more than people like me could ever imagine to do. He didn't have limitless financial resources, but I can tell you he traveled more than most of us. He helped more people than most of us. And he enjoyed a life far more rich than most of us. And his glass was almost always full. It is ironical, in the 22 years that I knew him as a close friend, I never once told him how many of these qualities I admired about him. And here I am in a Zoom session full of people, bar him, where I'm telling you about his admirable qualities. But that's probably the lesson and the legacy that he leaves me and hopefully many of you with. Our friend Holdy was a guy who knew not to judge people, but to accept them for who they were. He knew how to help people without accepting anything in return. And he knew how to live, thrive, and prosper rather than to ponder and procrastinate. And it's for teaching me those qualities and for always having a shoulder to lean on, I will forever be in his debt. Thank you.
Thank you, Soumitra. Abhishek.
Me, right?
Abhishek Shinde.
Yeah, hi everyone. It's so good to see all of you here. Wish the circumstances had been better, but you know, as was Holdy's habit and talent, I would say that even in his passing, he is bringing forth a lot of us together in a way we've not been for a while. And we've not always been. I think, I mean, you know, having obviously like all of you knowing Holdy from law school days, pretty much the first day, I remember being interacted with together with him and Akhil, who used to share the loo room in the Himalaya hostel, and you know, it had a bunk bed, but those two guys got along like a house on fire. And in spite of that limited size of the room, some 10, 12 of us would very often be packed in there, you know, in the early days of law school when you were just getting to know each other. You know, I mean, I would consider, I mean, it would not be out of turn to say that I considered him one of my closest friends. We've been through a lot together over the last 22 years. What really, you know, I will take away from him and his life is that, I mean, just that sheer daring do that he had to go after things that he thought were right and wanted. His ability, in spite of being really opinionated and argumentative, and perhaps unintentionally often, to be a bridge builder between some very diverse viewpoints and friends, and you know, not all of us, in spite of our you know, sort of maybe mellowness of character, can actually do that. And the third thing would be to just I mean, the guy was always ready for a plan. If he was free, I mean, you could call him to the depths of hell and he'd come. You know, if he didn't have like something more, I mean, I'm not saying something more pressing, but if it wasn't something really critical, he would be there come hell or high water. You know, and those three qualities, I hope I imbibe some of that. You know, it's going to be tough to live any of these, you know, even one of these uh, well in life, but if there's just one of them I can take away, I'd be like much happier and a better human being for it. And I think I would speak for a lot of us when I say that a lot of us have been better human beings for having known Ajoy. And I think a lot of us will remember him for a long, long time. That's all really I can say at this point.
Thank you, Shinde. Sean?
Hello, everyone. It's as others have said, it's really nice to see everyone. Uh, but obviously, it would have been much nicer if the circumstances were different. First of all, I'd like to offer my condolences to Holder's family, Shushmita and Satuko. And you know, I think the way he lived his life is a huge credit to his upbringing. Everything that we say about him, his bravery, his ability to take risks, but he was also a very responsible person, and that's a credit to the family. Um, his death has obviously made me think a lot about chance and courage. In terms of chance, you know, it feels in moments like this that everything is governed by chance. We're born by chance, we die by chance, we've become batchmates by chance, and then Holder's been taken away from us by a virus that kills by chance. And that's the cruel brutality of it. It's like Russian roulette. Like, you don't know who it's going to take, and it's taken one of our best. But I think what Holder's life, reflecting on this, is what I've realized is that his courage really showed us that everything is not chance, because Holder was the master of calculated risk. And there are two incidents that I want to talk about, which is, one is that in our second year, like, nobody asked us to do this. We were just trying to pad out our CVs. So we did an internship with Child Relief in You in Calcutta. And Child Relief in You is not actually, doesn't do any work itself. It's just a funding organization. So they farmed us out to all their various organizations that they funded in and around Calcutta. So my point is that there was a lot of travel, right? And I didn't really know Holder that well. And we just partnered up and we did this thing. And we went to all corners of Calcutta. Outside Calcutta, we took suburban trains to a rural area to see the school for children with different abilities. And I mean, he would have loved it. And that was when I really realized what an easygoing guy he was. What a great, you know, when you're in a congested local suburban train and you're 19 years old, you know, he was a good guy to have beside you. Um, the other incident I remember is, you know, the thing is, Holder was a risk taker, and he's always been ahead of me in this path of setting up stuff, trying stuff. But he always had a home that I could go and crash with him. So, you know, he was in Gurgaon back in back when it was just an empty city. And then he had this home, I remember, in CR Park, and his landlord just dropped in one afternoon for like a cup of tea, not an inspection or anything like that. And he was clearly in the habit of dropping in to see Holder just when he wanted to shoot the breeze. And the three of us sat down and had a cup of tea. I mean, like, who has this relationship with their landlord? And Holder had bought, I think, a Honda Civic at that point. And there was this buzz around the fact is, whether this guy can actually afford this car, and is he going to be able to pay off the EMIs? And and when he came to pick me up, I remember I opened the door and the brochure for a Honda Accord fell out. So he was, while other people were talking about whether he could afford this car, he was already planning on buying the better model, the higher model. And that was the thing about his courage. He, through his courage, he found destiny to travel. And that's the thing I pray for all of us, is that we have that courage to aspire and take chances and accomplish something with our lives. So thank you.
Thanks very much, Sean. Anunay, do you want to speak?
Yeah, hi. Thanks, Varun. First of all, good to see everyone. I think you know, I wish the circumstances were better. I think just adding to what Sean said, I think um, I won't go. I won't take long, but I think what Holdy really taught me, and at least what I would take away from his life, um, is, and in some senses, you know, having with his ashes being immersed today, there is some finality to it. Is just the sense of living in the present, and and not in a reckless sort of way, but and keeping yourself open to new experiences, finding joys, finding happiness, finding new experiences. Um, and I think what happens to a lot of us, well, certainly I think if I look back at it, it's happened in my case, is we tend to get a little bit, play a little bit safe as we get older, you know. But that was not what Holy was all about. I mean, every 2-3 months he would come up with a travel plan. Every we'd go somewhere, and I would, for example, in my usual excitement, would say, of course, and then some work would come, and then, but he'd happily go. He'd go with someone else, or he'd go alone, and just a sense of adventure. I I think we sometimes take ourselves too seriously, and he did not, although he had very strong opinions. So that's something I would really take away from him. And he was really courageous. I think when he started his law firm, I had some misgivings for sure. I expressed it to him, but he went ahead with it. He was headstrong, and good for him. And he did well with it. So I think, just the courage and the ability to keep yourself uh, open to new ideas, new experiences, and keep improving as you go along in life is something that really take away from him. And look, the last thing I'm going to say is, um, it's he's obviously gone, but in a way, the last year, given lockdown and everything, uh, possibly one good thing about it was we, and some of us in Delhi, we really hung out with him. We hung out at his place a lot, and we and I'm so glad that we got to spend that extra time with him. Um, and yeah, I'll wait till the next prawn malai curry, and when I see him next.
Thanks, Anunay. Thanks, Anunay. Kartikeyan.
Hi everyone. Um, I guess there was a better occasion when we could have all met up. Um, I, as Anunay mentioned, that we bid him a final goodbye today morning, and there was a certain uh, though I was about 100 meters away from that, from where the immersion was happening, but there was there was a profound sense of grief, and which I can't really express right now. But as let me just talk about the past 1 year, especially when I got stuck here in Delhi during the lockdown. Holder was the one source of uh, uh, joy in this morbid period, right? Every weekend he would very joyfully prepare meals for us. He would meet us. He would ensure that we met every Saturday. He made sure that there were occasions which lifted our spirits, right? And as Shom pointed out, when I started looking for a job, my first port of call was Ajoy, always the gracious host, willing to share his double bed in Gurgaon in a single room that he used to stay in, right? Uh, I am married to Shweta, courtesy Ajoy, because we met because of him. So Ajoy has played such a he's been such a big protagonist in my life, in the play of my life. I can't tell you, right? And that I'm not really sure. It's still not. It still hasn't sunk in for me. Um, it will probably take some more time, but we will certainly miss him. But there is a lot that others have pointed out, be it Soumitra, be it Shom, be it Anunay. There's a lot to be learned from him. Is he wasn't an out and out daredevil, but he was certainly a risk taker, and that's something. And he didn't take himself very seriously. So that's something I think we all ought to learn from him, and we just need to probably go a little easy on ourselves also. That's an important lesson from his life. Sorry, I wasn't prepared for this. That's it from my side. Thanks.
Thanks, Karthikeya. Atish? Atish, you're on mute.
Yeah, just nice to see all of you. Hopefully, the circumstances would have been better. Like Karthik and Anuna said, we bid him his final farewell today in the Ganga, and it was just a sense of sorrow to do this for a friend. Never imagined we had to do something like this for a very dear friend of ours. And talking about Oldie, as Shom mentioned that we've been through a cycle of all his houses from Gurgaon to CR Park to being my neighbor in Delhi actually for 2 years, like literally my neighbor. And my family and friends started calling it my club because I'm married. He wasn't. They said, you've got a club for yourself now. But being how generous guy he was, his doors were always open, always. We've had a lot of good times and where he was with me, and then his house close by. And like Karthikeya said, we literally spent the entire lockdown last year, all weekends in his house, he or Deski's house, either or, but mostly his house. And the thing that you learn from him is just be kind and generous, and just learn to live the moment where you're in. And of course, it's a lot of grief for a lot of us, for all of us actually. But those are the two things I learned. Just be generous and be kind. And more important, don't be judgmental. That's all there is to it. And that's it. I mean, everyone else has spoken what they have. I've just added my 2 bits here. Thanks.
Thanks, Atish. Sumant? Sumant here.
Yeah, hi guys. I really didn't prepare for this, but now about what all you guys whatever you guys said about Halder is absolutely correct. Uh, but I would just like to highlight one other aspect of his personality, uh, which I think you guys missed out. And all those guys who said very nice things about him, let me just share a secret which I and Holder had, that he was a fun-loving and party-going guy, and he always used to complain about these guys, that these guys don't party enough, they don't drink enough, they have just become old and married, etc., etc. So so Holder was a guy who was always up for a party. Uh, Holder was a guy who was always up for. He just basically wanted to have a good time in whatever he was doing. He was passionate. He was passionate about his friends. He was passionate about his life in general. He was passionate about his sports. So yeah. That's about it from me, guys. I miss him a lot.
Sumant. Akhil.
Yeah, thanks, Arunab. And it's really nice to see everyone. I just wish, so actually, I just regard this event as as a celebration of Holder's memory and his life, and not a mourning, because I don't think he would have wanted any of us to mourn. He was not that kind of a guy, and about his life, I've always believed in that he had that he was not an ordinary man, and he didn't have an ordinary life. His life was extraordinary, and right from the Blue Room days, as Abhishek mentioned, I've had the privilege of being his friend for more than 20 years, and the luck of sharing some of his adventures, and I can really say that his adventures could fill a normal person's few lifetimes. So he had adventures of a few lifetimes in his short life, and that's what I remember most about him. And I just want to add to what Atish said about his generosity. I think the best way, how I want to honor his life is try to be generous like him, and just to have that true passion and enjoyment for life, which he did. And I think he truly made my life better. And now, without him, I have to strive to be like him and make my own life better. So that's all. I really miss him.
Thanks, Akhil. Harsha.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I know it's repetitive, but I just wish we met in a better circumstances. In fact, me and Ajoy were on a trip to the Himalayas in January in Mukteshwar. And we were actually planning that, once we get married, we'll have a big get together, and hopefully most of us who are at least in India would make it to the wedding. Unfortunately, I mean, it's nice to see everyone, but I would any day exchange for that meeting than this. Yeah, I mean, everyone, all the ones who were close to him have already spoken about what kind of person he is and the experiences we had. I was about to say about his adventures, but he beat me to it. His adventures are like numerous. I mean, I've been fortunate to have a lot of experiences with him, even from law school, be it the cricket team or the joint projects with before Jogara also, some of them knew about that, but I had a great, I mean, the guy was a gem. And once, I mean, during law school, everyone was close to him, but post law school is one of the few friends. I mean, we are a group of 7-8 friends. We have been in touch, and Tiger was one of us. And in the last 4.5 years after he moved from Singapore, we've been really close. I mean, as some of you may know, we've been working also for last couple of years together. I mean, but that was more of a loose connection in the sense that I used to only do the litigation part of his firm work. But I mean, he actually, like, yeah, as everyone said, he was not serious, but he was in a way serious about his goals and he went for it. But he never used to take life very seriously. He used to live at the moment. I know days when, like, if someone asked him for help, even if he didn't have anything, he would give everything he had to the people who asked for it. I mean, like, so many things he did for everyone, like, you know, dropping someone in the middle of the night, picking up someone in the middle of the night from Gurgaon all the way to Delhi. He has done everything. I mean, he never said no to anyone. And like, I can speak for myself. I mean, like, he was never judgmental. He didn't, like, you know, I mean, the Himalayan boys would know what I'm talking about. Like, he never discriminated anyone. He was never judgmental. And I can say definitely that at least in our group, he and Sumant are the only ones who would be liked by everyone. Not the others, definitely no. So, I mean, the guys, they were just such genuine guys and not, they didn't discriminate, nothing. And they were like always kind to everyone. I mean, that's one thing I tried to learn, but late now. But anyway, so I just wanted to say that his firm, he had a plan to retire at the age of 50. That's what he kept telling, 9 more years and I'm done. I'm going to, you know, take a house in the beach and just relax. It's just sad that he left before. And anyways, I have discussed with Sushmita and we're trying to keep the firm afloat in his name only. Let's see how it goes. Last thing, there's a picture of Ajoy, which was taken in Goa in December. I was not there on the trip. It was one of his school friends. But I don't know if Tarnab can permit me. I'll just share that picture. I don't know if I can do that. Yeah, one second.
Let me try to. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, this is in Ashram Beach in December at sunset. This was taken by his school friends. Or, I mean, this just symbolizes Ajoy. I mean, like, you know, the guy was always full of life, full of compassion, so kind. And like, yeah, as Atish said, this last 1.5 year during the lockdown, I'll just close the share once. I mean, we literally hung out every weekend pretty much. And because of office work, we used to meet more often. And like, he was so looking forward for the wedding. I mean, and like, just when everything was finally in place, the firm was doing well. He's been a bit unlucky in love, but like finally he did everything. And when we thought that finally things are going fine, I mean, God has been a bit cruel. I mean, not bit, a lot. I mean, I just can't digest it even after 8 days that he's no longer with us. I will really miss him. And yeah, I mean, in 41 years, he has lived a lifetime. He's done shit like I don't think anyone of us have done. Like, it's not the appropriate forum to discuss, but like, he has done a lot and he has lived his life. He lived it passionately, and I wish we all can do that. I've lost a friend whom I will be meeting every weekend. Things won't be the same at our Himalayan Boys weekend meets. But yeah, he will always remain with us wherever he is till we meet next. Thanks, Tarun.
Thanks, Harsha. Rahul Sharma. Are you here, Rahul? Do you want to speak? While I wait to figure that out.
Tarnab, I don't think Rahul is there.
Rahul is not here. Okay, he was there earlier. Okay, Namita.
Hello, everyone. It's good to see all of you to celebrate Ajoy's life. I don't think, you know, although we are all grieving and mourning, I think hearing all these stories and, you know, just feeling his presence through our memories makes me just feel that we are celebrating his life. And, you know, Sushmita and Satoko, it's thank you for being with us. And it's so good to meet the people who have been a part of Ajoy's upbringing and part of who he is as a person. I think it's wonderful to meet both of you, and I think that it may be a little childlike, but I do think that good souls go early because God also wants good souls around him or her, if you believe in God. And I think that cruel as it
Namita, are you still there?